I supported World War II. I was caught up in the Pearl Harbor. I had to do something to support the war, to stop what was going on in Germany. Ended up working for the Beltone Laboratories in New York City, where they were on full military contract developing radar. I slowly left Columbia feeling that it wasn't political enough, and went to the New School for Social Research, and from there I went to the Jefferson School, which was very left-wing. Also in New York, I was reading PM magazine, PM newspaper. It was a little 4-page newspaper that came out every afternoon. It was wonderful. It was really giving the truth about what was going on. So by the end of the war, I was really seeing that war wasn't the answer. But it was Hiroshima that really shocked me, saying, you know, I've got to do something. War is not the answer. I was attracted to the Friends because of the peace testimony. I was looking for a religious home for my values, where I could really express my opposition to war. When the Vietnam War emerged, kids were getting older, I decided I really needed to learn about the Central Committee for Conscientious Objectors and be able to offer draft counseling and set up the Northampton Draft Information Center in the basement of my home. That was in '68. I wanted to do group draft counseling, where we would all sit in a circle and I would ask the question, young man, what is it you're objecting to? I found that really wonderful because they all shared, and the more articulate helped those who were less articulate, and those who were more in touch with their feelings helped those who were less in touch. I gave them the law as they spoke, you know, what their options would be, with a definite focus on urging them to not be dishonest. We literally had hundreds who came through. Only one person went into the Army. That was a Quaker, member Matt Toby, who felt he would go as a medic. I think it was a wonderful time for young people to kind of clarify who they were and where they were going with their lives and why. More and more over the years, I was beginning to see that certainly by the Iraq War, that it was the media, that we really had to change the media, so that when I heard Democracy Now!, I felt that was the answer, that what I really needed was to have everybody every day listening to Amy Goodman, Democracy Now! So I, about that time, heard of someone who was going up to the top of Mount Holyoke every day. He would download it on his computer, put it on a disk. He would drive up to the top of Mount Holyoke and then walk on up to the highest point, throw the antenna in a tree, and broadcast Democracy Now! That was wonderful. It was going all over the valley. I said I would help him find a place where we could broadcast it in Northampton. You know, I looked at all the tall buildings, the Fitzwillie building, and no one would agree to do that. So I said, what about my backyard? And so we tried throwing the antenna in one of my walnut trees, and my co-conspirator drove around town, and it was picking up very well. So I had a pole put up in my backyard and bought a good transmitter and the equipment and broadcast Democracy Now! For a year and a half every day, and had little cards made, gave them out. And that was an act of civil resistance. The law says the airways belong to the people. So we got a lot of people addicted to Democracy Now! That way. Then it took a year and a half before we could get WMUA to broadcast it. They said, you know, that they were just broadcasting student-generated programs. We became kind of a block. We found people who had programs on WMUA who would use parts of Democracy Now! On their program. So we were getting segments on. So after a year and a half, we got on WMUA, and it's now on WMUA every morning at 8 o'clock. And then the people who were interested in my little station came together and applied for a license and got in that good time, and they got a license to get WXOJ on the air. So WXOJ has been on the air for 3 years. It's on 24 hours a day. They do really good programming. I think that a lot of people are watching and listening to Democracy Now! Every day. And I feel that it's making a difference. It's the only way to combat this media that is just giving people misinformation. Every day she's there giving the truth about what's going on and giving us the models of people who are working to bring about changes. For people who get under the weight of it and really pay attention, it makes a profound difference in their lives, the way they look at things, and it empowers them to really work for change. I believe that there is something precious, call it God, the inner light, the inner spirit. Everybody has a conscience, and you deserve the right to live, and that I do not deserve the right to take your life. I can work on your conscience and urge you by giving you the truth and the way I see things from my point of view, and share and hope that we both will come to an understanding of what's going on in the world.